Hello and welcome to Medya News Podcast with me, Mark Campbell. Medya News aims to be an authentic voice bringing you real, truthful stories from the Middle East with a particular focus on the Kurdish question that is often ignored, self-censored and suppressed by the mainstream media platforms. And we're absolutely delighted today to be joined by a student organizer of the recent student protests that have erupted in Bashuri Kurdistan. And very kindly translating for us today is Dastan Jazim, who recently did a podcast on Medya News Podcast with Desmond Fernandez. So we're delighted to welcome both of you today. Thank you so much for joining us at such short notice. Shano, you're a student organizer in Bashuri Kurdistan. Can you please introduce yourself? And if you can tell us why students in South Kurdistan have been protesting over the last couple of days.
من نام شانو بكر محمد خوێندکاری کۆلێژی پزیشکی ڤێتەرنەریم لە زانکۆی سلێمانی هاوکات چالاکوانی بواری گەنجانم و لە ڕێکخراوێکی ئاژەڵ پارێزی کارەکەم.
Her name is Shano Abubakar Muhammad. She is a student at the College for Medicine at the University of Sulaymaniyah. She has worked in different civil society contexts, especially focusing on the rights of young people in the Kurdistan region. And she's telling us that it's the first time in the history of the Kurdistan region that we have this type of decentralized protest where no one is the head of the protest. So everyone that we see that is in the protest is just doing that because that's their demand. It just naturally evolved. There is not one head of the organization. There is not one party or one political movement that is orchestrating the people. There is no one who has more power over the other than the other. Everyone is equal and everyone is equally going on the streets. And that when it comes to the reasons for the protest, she's saying that there is some things where she does not want there to be a misunderstanding. So the first demand that sparked the protest was the stipend that everyone talked about, depending on where you come from in the Kurdistan region, depending on where you study, it was 50,000 dinar going up to 150,000 dinar. But that was only the start of the protest. The protest has actually gathered a lot of students, a lot of other young people that have much, much more issues that are connected to the issue of the stipend. For example, the stipend is only one part of the greater systemic issues. And she has cited that this is not something special because in any country we have such financial grants. In some countries, we have a credit system where people have to pay that kind of money back after they finish studied. But she said, well, we're living on a land of southern Kurdistan, which is based on oil, which gets its money from oil.
ئێمە گومرگەکانمان هەیە کە لە ڕێگەوەی ئەو کەرەستە بازرگانیانە داغڵی.
She just said that it's not like this is so much money that they're asking for. It's not like this stipend is so much money that they could not pay for it. There is one example, which is the taxes that are taken from each and every tanker coming in and out of the Kurdistan region. As you well know, Kurdistan region is a very important place for transport and trade and all of these things. And she's saying, like, if we're taking those taxes alone, there is a ridiculous amount of money that is just being made by these taxes. And this money is directly going to the Kurdistan region government, is going into their funds. So there are 1,000 examples, she's saying, for how Kurdistan can finance this, and that what they are actually demanding is something normal. It's something that is in the capacities of the Kurdistan region. She is saying that first it started with the stipends, but she wants to say again that the situation is about them lacking a lot of other things, not only the stipends. The stipends are only one symptom of a lot of other things that are lacking, that are missing, that are not there. She's saying that there is so much theft going on in the Kurdistan region. Okay. she's saying there is so much theft going on, and she's saying let's just stay in the university system. Let's not even talk about the greatest system, but let's just talk about the university system. There is so much going on. There is, not enough equipment for the students. She's saying, like, in the medical labs, the equipment is lacking very much. We have a system where there are so many private universities just popping out of nowhere, taking ridiculous fees from all of these students. So the whole university educational sector has really become this huge business. And she's saying that they're basically just asking for their rights. They're just taking it to the streets, and they are being attacked. They are being shot at just for taking it on the streets. And they are angry about a million things. She's saying there are so many points where they're angry about, and that they are articulating now. And she's saying that this kind of political system, it really took the hope of the students.
Gosh, Shano, thank you so much. And please, if you could continue, and if you could perhaps tell us a little bit more of some of these issues that you're referring to, and also about how the authorities have responded to the students' demands.
سیستم میزانکۆ سیستمێکە بەتەواتی پەکراوە لەلایەن دەسەڵاتداران و بەتایبەت لەناو سلێمانی و دەوروبەری سلێمانیا.
So Shana is saying the university system is completely taken over by the powerful, by the elites. In Sulaymaniyah, we have the elites of the PUK, and in Hawlid and Duhok, so Erbil and Duhok, we have the KDP. They control the whole university system on every level. The university system is so damaged that no one really learns anything there, and therefore many people are even lacking the motivation to go into the university system. For example, in the practical lessons that she is doing with many of her fellow medical students, many are really losing motivation because the education is low quality, and they are really being treated very disrespectfully, as if they are nothing. Because, of course, those people that are appointed to become professors or to become something at the universities somehow always have something to do with the ruling class. So she's saying that even those students that are very talented, that are very capable of doing good things, that they're losing their motivation, that they are being insulted in every way. She's saying that if you don't belong to a party, you cannot do anything. If you or your family do not have a party connection, then you cannot really demand anything in the university system. She's saying that because of this situation in the university sector alone, among young students, mental health issues have skyrocketed very much. She's saying that she cannot point out one thing, but there are so many things that she actually wants to talk about. So she doesn't know where to start. She's saying that when it comes to the protests, the last 2 days, she says that we kind of have to look at police in a general way. She is pointing out that not only in the Kurdistan region, but for example, in France or the UK, you see that the police is always those executing power for the state. So you cannot really expect anything from them. She says that you have seen in other protests in the Kurdistan region even that they would attack old protesters of age with wooden sticks, that they do not respect anyone, that the police forces, they don't respect anyone because they are working for the parties and they do everything to be loved by the leaders. So she is saying that they're doing a lot of bad things, that they are, a lot of people are comparing what they're doing with what the Ba'ath party, so the party of Saddam Hussein, used to do with students back in the days, that this is basically a continuation of all of the bad things that the Ba'ath party used to make, all of the bad things that they learned in school and history classes that the Ba'ath party used to do, that this kind of stuff is basically happening. She's saying that the students are going on the street and protesting, but they only have their pencil in their pockets. They don't have anything. They are not armed, and they are being attacked with guns, with kicks, with every ugly way. And she's saying that what we're seeing right now at the border between Poland and Belarus, what is being done to the protesters, that in her opinion that is nothing compared to what the students are facing right now in terms of state violence. And she's also pointing out that in the Kurdish parties, in the ruling classes, we have a lot of people, Kurdish people, that used to collaborate with the Ba'ath Party, and that these people are now in the Kurdish parties. They are living freely. They never had to face any consequences for what they did, and that is exactly those people that also killed Kawa Garmiani. Kawa Garmiani used to be a journalist in the Kurdistan region, was killed for his oppositional thoughts, and also the people that killed Sardesht Osman, who was also a student who was killed in front of the university, kidnapped and killed.
Gosh, Shano, really, I mean, I have to say this is one of the most powerful testimonies that I think I have heard about the situation for students and wider society in South Kurdistan. So thank you very, very much for your eyewitness testimonies. Please continue to express your further feelings. I may ask, we have been seeing on social media that there have been live firing going on in Sulaymaniyah. What is happening now, and how do you see the next couple of days going forward?
طبعا بايك توز لسر أو بروم دوباره که بوردی یعنی با دیتیلو بحثی و تام بکم که چی برام بر خوبیشان دران کراو.
She's saying that first, it was not that many people that were going to the protest. It was just a couple of people that were simply protesting in front of the unis. We have different campuses all over Sulaymaniyah city, and they would simply stand in front of the university, have a peaceful protest asking for their stipend to be paid out. She's saying that over the last 6-7 years, they have had a lot of excuses to not pay out the stipend. But she's saying now they have no excuse. They cannot say that we still have the Daesh situation, the war against Daesh going on. She says that the oil prices have been rising again. So there is no reason for them, no excuse for them to not pay the money. She says we have a very civil protest, a very calm protest, and all of a sudden they shoot tear gas and bullets. She's saying that Asayish, the security forces, are in the hands of a corrupted party, and therefore they are also acting corruptedly. They are even sending female police forces to hit the women specifically. And she is saying that they really have no dignity. They're insulting people, and they even take the mobile phones specifically from female activists. And they threaten those female activists that they will share pictures of them, and they will allegedly share pictures of them where they're allegedly attacking people or anything, but that's not really true. They are trying to frame the people, she is saying. She says that they are attacking especially young men with stun guns in their sensitive parts, and that a lot of people have been sent to hospital because of their injuries, because some of the people would lose their sight after they've been attacked with tear gas, and also some people would faint, and because of them fainting on the street, they would injure themselves when they would fall down, or they would injure themselves because of the gas cans that would detonate on their heads or on their skull. She said that when the students saw this kind of behavior and this kind of answer to their peaceful protest, that they said, okay, now we are going to take our justice again, that the people took the dignity, that the security forces really took the dignity of these students, and that students are actually a respected group of people in society, but they are not respecting them. She's saying that Asayish, actually, when they were not paying the full salary of the Asayish due to the financial crisis in the last years, that they were often connecting money and donations, and that a lot of people from Sulaymaniyah would give money and donations to Asayish. But now they are throwing away everything. They are throwing away the trust of the people from Sulaymaniyah and the trust of the students who also gave them donations. And now they are attacking them and they're disrespecting them. And she's saying that they're sending people specifically into these protest groups to provoke, to do illegal things, to do bad things, just so they have a justification to attack them with force.
Gosh, Shano, thank you ever so much for this powerful testimony that you are representing. You know, if you have anything else to say, if you have any other comments that you would like people to hear, please take this opportunity just before we wrap up to give any other messages. Perhaps you could explain to us if the students are getting perhaps any wider support from, you know, wider societies in Sulaymaniyah and Erbil in South Kurdistan. And what is your message for anybody who's listening to this who would like to support the students in South Kurdistan?
She's saying before she brings her final message, she wants to say that there are a lot of examples for all the bad things that they did to the protesters. For example, there was a guy next to her. He was hit in the face so much that he was bleeding all over his face. And she was one of the only witnesses around him. So she tried to make a recording of the situation and take pictures and videos. And they took her phone and they threatened her. They said, you have to immediately delete this. And they just took the guy away into some corner of the street. And she said, she still has no idea what they did to him. She says she does not know where they brought him, and they did this very often in the streets. They would chase the students until their houses, until the halls of the uni even. They would follow them with their arms on into their houses. Then they attack them with tear gas, even if in the closed down halls of the university and on the campus. She said that they wanted to stay calm because they wanted to share their word and talk to media, but in and around the campus, there was so much stuff going on. There was so much horrifying stuff that people could not even talk to media. There were people that were masked up, and all of a sudden they would just run on the street and try to block the street. And she is wondering what party, what movement has sent these people, because she has the feeling that they were sent to provoke the situation, to give a justification for them to attack them. She said the students were pushed back into the campus and they attacked them with a lot of tear gas. Many of the tear gas, how do you call them?
Canisters.
The canisters, the tear gas canisters. Many of the tear gas canisters were directly detonating in their faces. Many were injured so badly. She still has no idea what happened to these people. She saw people with like open wounds. She doesn't know what happened to these people. And she said this is only in Sulaymaniyah and Hawler and Erbil. It's much, much worse. People don't even dare to go out because it's so dangerous, because KDP is ruling there and people are really afraid what is going to happen. She says that there are party people trying to mix themselves into the crowds and to use the protests. For example, today, Shazwar Abdul Wahid, who is the head of the New Generation Party, tried to gain a momentum by going into the protesters, but he was kicked out by the students because the students understand that academic language does not help with these people, that these people just stay there 1 minute and they use the situation for their own interest, that we have seen these kind of examples in the February 2011 protests, and that's why this new generation, the students, have no trust in anyone. She said, my message is we want a system change, a fundamental system change. She says that during the student protests in 1968 in France, they had a saying that there is a policeman among all of us and we have to end that. We have to stand against that. And she said we should have started earlier, but it's not too late. I want to tell students that your dignity is not broken because of a policeman kicking you or hurting you. She said that today we have seen a decision that the Council of Ministers would give the stipends again. But before, we have seen that they made a decision that all the universities have to be closed for the next 2 days. And that's a very scary message, because by that they are telling us that they have sworn us that this will not end, and that they want everything to close down, so that the next day, the next week, all of the students come back and act like nothing happens. But I have to tell them that we don't have Alzheimer's. We don't forget things like the generations before. We are the generation that does not trust any parties or anyone anymore. These parties do not even have legitimacy, she says, because, for example, if you look at Iraqi elections, less than 10% of Sulaymaniyah were even giving their votes to PUK. So these PUK Asayish that are insulting us, that are trying to dishonor us, that are shooting us, they don't even have the legitimacy to do that. But they do that because they're afraid of us. They're afraid of us because in many societies, students have been the avant-garde of society. And we have a lot of support. We have a lot of support by the normal people. We even have support by other people, young protesters from Baghdad, from the Tishreen protest, from the October 2019 protest. They say that they will protest with us every day. They will protest every day until they give us our right and everyone is brought to justice. I thank you for this possibility to talk freely. I have a lot of friends who are in the hospital. I'm really emotional right now. Many of them are injured. I don't know what is happening to them. We have even had situations where they demanded to be able to get into the protest with a motorcycle, so they could take away the injured people, but they would not always allow that. No student had a knife or anything with them. No student was armed. Everyone was even refraining from getting violent because they did not want to give the security forces an excuse. They tried to keep their cool. They begged Asayish. They told Asayish, "You are our brother. Brothers, don't do this." But they did this, and they know exactly how to hit us. For example, they would take a guy that they would identify as Islamic, and they know how to hurt him. They would specifically insult his mother and his sister just to hurt him at a very specific space. But I want to say that we will continue all the time, and on this way, we're going to freedom. And I want to say that there are 3 principles that we are following, which is Azadi Ma Fushko. So it's our freedom, it's our right, and our dignity. And those 3, we want to have them back. We will fight until we have them back, and they should be afraid of us. We will never be silent. We will create a community, create groups that will change this. We're ready to destroy their parties if they want to continue like this. We have given them nothing but flowers, but their answers have really provoked us.
Gosh, Shano,
is that correct? Shko as dignity?
I don't know, Shko, what is that?
I think let me before I can look that up again, maybe.
Okay.
But I think Shko in
English. أوج للصياد جنبه يا أوي للصياد بين جنب للصياد أوي كدندراني يكتي لناس نور إسلامانية. بما بيوت 10%.
No, I said it's not even 10%.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I took the note before they said, yeah.
Dastan, Shano, medical student from Sulaymaniyah University. It has been really extraordinary, for myself and Dastan, I'm sure, and for all of our listeners, to listen to your powerful and articulate testimony from the student protests ongoing in South Kurdistan. I'd like to thank you and send solidarity to you from certainly from the Medya News editorial team and from all our listeners of Medya News. You are struggling, for things that we take for granted, human rights, freedom of expression.
يعني سپاس زۆر يعني لناخی دڵمەوە ئەیکەم لەبەرەوەی ئەمە زۆر پێویستمان بۆیە کە دەنگمان بگاتە دەرەوە و ئەمەش بەڕاستی لە ڕێگەی
taking the opportunity again to thank her, to thank you for giving this opportunity to raise her words, to spread the word, because there is a lot of international media that just does not realize what is happening. A lot of media is trying to also not look at the situation right now. So she's very thankful for that. She says that the protests are going to most likely continue, and she is just also raising awareness that there are people from the security forces that get mixed in the protests, and they are giving the information of several protesters out. So the protesters should be very cautious about that. I was just asking again whether she's very sure that she wants her name in, but she says that she 100% wants her name in, because all of the threats she has heard today, it's really too late to just go out of the thing.
Okay, Shano, listen, thank you ever so much again, and solidarity to you and all of the students in South Kurdistan. We really salute you and wish you well with your struggle. And Dastan, thank you. Dastan, thank you so much for translating for us today at such short notice. We will have to finish it now.
Dastan Khan,
Zor spas, Sir Captain. Thank you so much, both of you.